So do you want me to show you what to do here?
Yeah.
The second part as well. So this is the fold line. So you're gonna fold your placket piece, right sides together. So it's gonna turn out to be just like this, and then you're gonna sew these parts, 1/4 inch seam allowances.
My pattern has that as cut as 2 individual pieces.
Then they're gonna have you sew this piece, make a seam here, which is fine too, but once again, that means it's extra labor.
That's a good way of doing that, because I was gonna ask you, do you wanna back that on the corner, but you just avoided doing that, you just crisscross.
Yeah, back stitching here, and then I back stitched both of these here because I know that this has an overlapping. So, but if pivoting works for you, that's fine. And then we're gonna flip this corner because we wanna be able to flip it, turn it, right side out. Now, before we do that, what we're gonna do is we are going to make sure that we close this at 1/4 inch from this part as well. Well, hold on 1 second, I'll explain it to you. So, leaving 5 inches from here, you're also gonna make that little seam because that will finish your placket nicely. So whatever your sleeve opening is, I'm saying 5 inches because that's what we have here. When you work on your sleeve, it might be 3 inches or 4 inches, whatever that length is. Thank you. You will actually, I should have done a notch. If there's a notch on your pattern, actually that will make it easier, right? So from that dot to all the way up, we can go ahead and make that seam as well. So, Michelle, would you show us your placket one more time? So what we worked on is that little shape.
Oh.
So many times, well, the other day I asked you to cut only one piece because
like
I was
your
gonna have
sleeve is
you
like that.
fold it
That's
and
that
then
one.
fold it, and I figured that since you're doing this for the first time, that's not always a very like friendly way of doing the placket. So I figured if we just have the seams done, and you're working with a pre-shaped piece, and then you don't have to kind of like fold it as you're sewing from the right side. So now we're turning it right side out.
Huh.
Right?
Nice.
Now, can you imagine when you were sewing, you had to like fold this as you were, for people who do this, actually for living, it probably is easier for them because then they don't have to do what we're working on, like turning it.
Press it ahead of time?
So before we pressed it, we could have
Made the.
clipped it,
Oh. Oh, I see. what
right?
you mean.
So if we clipped it right where your notch is, up to that seam, not through, but up to that point, then what you're gonna have is this instead. Much easier to work with. right? So now this is the right side. What are we gonna do now?
Same thing that we did.
Same thing that we did with this one. It's just that it's a different looking piece. That's all, right? So go to the wrong side and pin just one, not both of these layers, just one layer. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna sew all the way up here, and if your markings were correct, right where this notch or a dot is, that is where this corner is gonna be. You see where we have this little corner on this piece? These two notches or corners or dots are gonna match, whatever your marking wave method you're using, all right? And I find it easier to start not from here, but from top down. So I'm gonna sew it top down instead of bottom up, because then I can hold this and be a little bit more specific about being accurate on this. Once again, if this is too tricky for you, feel free to hand baste it right here. What's the seam allowance? So before you start sewing, make sure that these edges are aligned. Okay? And holding it in place, flip this top piece or the layer out of your way. Start right at that point or the corner that you have. And carefully continue your seam. Once you're through that little corner, you're gonna be fine. Rest is
Downhill.
easy. See how nice it looks?
Mm-hmm.
So this was the wrong side, and we need to now do what? It almost is gonna feel like you did it you reversed it, but don't worry, because remember we're gonna attach this piece. So you're gonna do the exact same thing you did here, folding and pressing your seam allowances towards the placket. You're gonna enclose this. So this part is gonna go over the seam, just how we have been doing. So make sure that piece is covering your placket. Once again, if this is where you think hand basting is gonna work better for you, feel free to do that. Right? Now before you sew this down, we still have this little triangle that's like sort of floppy, right? So we want to kind of tack this down. What are we going to do with this?
Fold it up underneath.
We're going to fold it up, and you could actually do this before you had this piece sewn in.
Like it's something.
Right?
First piece.
Did you see what I did?
No.
Okay. So let's say if this, so we're just dealing with this first piece that we sewed and this triangle, and this is the right side. Okay, so you're folding the triangle up to right side because we want it to look finished, right? And then just place this over, and when you do this, this triangle is gonna be on top, right? That's one way. The other way is just fold it to where that opening is, and then shove the triangle in, and it automatically will come here. And then remember that little line that we have? We're gonna sew on that line. holding it in place. Yeah, do this part before you do the other placket. I don't know why, but I'm used to doing it afterwards. I feel like it gets in my way, but it might be easier for you to do that part first. So just from that little corner to the corner, don't sew on the fold because that's gonna make your sleeve look like it has a horizontal pleat. So when you do that, this is very similar to how you do the welt pockets, like the tailored pockets. So this is the wrong side. You want it to be tucked in. We're not, and we pushed it all to right side, or we brought this raw edge to the right side because it's gonna get covered with this piece anyways. That way your placket will look nice and neat on the wrong side, and it will look nice and neat on the right side. Now that this is done, what's the next step?
Top stitch. Top stitch.
Top edge stitch. Thank you. So starting from bottom, of course. Placket. And do you see how I have it folded up? Because if I have it down, there are chances that you're gonna sew on top of it and then you're not gonna have this opening. And I'm gonna stop right here. And what is that? That's that little corner that we've been working with all along. Very carefully. And now what? Remember, this part is actually connected now to the sleeve. So leaving your needle in, raise your presser foot and fold this down in place. And everything is gonna look like it's ready to be finished. So all I'm gonna do now is kind of like work with it just how you do your, I'm gonna say patch pocket. You kind of like edge stitch it and then your
That's definitely a pivot there.
yep. And then you see how this is like pulling down? It shouldn't be like that. And if it is, take your turner or something that and sort of, I want to say shove it in. Alright, so if you worked with this pattern, this edge is going to align to this. Or at least close enough. So keeping it nice and straight and smooth. Come down to where your seam is aligned to this right here. And if it's hard, you can always put a pin because that will tell me where I need to stop. And I'm going to make a straight seam right here. And now you can make any design you want to make on it. You can go and make a couple more stitches, and if that's not what you want to do, you can
leave it like that?
you can just leave it like that. Back stitch right there, and you're good. Some people like to make triangles and make a little design. You can do.
On the key, like old-fashioned